What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel.
Welcome to another episode of Hook in Mouth Metalcast.
Yeah, man. Today we're going to be talking about thrash metal and speed metal, kind of the nuances between the two, and what makes something thrash or speed metal.
All right, so obviously speed metal, it starts at a certain beats per minute, roughly.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's definitely a lot faster than normal, what you would think normal thrash is.
Which is roughly up to about 240, maybe, give or take. Would
Well,
be
some of it, can get pretty fast. I mean, but like you take a modern day thrash slash speed metal band like Enforced, and that's pretty much what they're doing. But it's more thrashy, right? You can definitely tell it's more leaning towards the thrash element because it's not 300 mile an hour the whole time.
right.
And like with speed metal, that's mostly what you get. Like there's no pre misconceptions about what you're, and if you do, then you're the one that's wrong. Thrash metal, it is exactly what it says it is. It's probably the only metal genre where there's really not much wiggle room on a certain band.
I think with thrash metal, you can get a little bit more speed differences in it. Because you can still get that kind of thrashing, moshing kind of sound at a slower rhythm. Whereas with speed metal, they tend to stay more upwards. They don't come down to almost a ballad pace and bring you back up. They might
Right.
drop and tron, do this little fucking quick little in your face, kind of like go blackout and then knock you out and then just keep beating you,
Yeah. There's not a lot of like extra added elements to speed metal. They pretty much stick to the formula. And with thrash, you get influences from all different types of music, especially the punk scene.
Yep.
And so, with speed metal, you just get bludgeoned from the get go. And like the first band I ever remember hearing, I think I might have mentioned this before, was the band Sadist, the album Swallowed in Black. And if you look up speed metal right now, that's one of the, if not the first thumbnail that pops up. Like it's well known that they are I don't know if they're the fathers of it or whatever, but nobody else was doing it at that time, not like that. And you had other bands like Rigor Mortis,
Good
and
band. Good stuff right there.
we have a speed metal playlist on our channel, and you can check out these bands we're talking about. Rigor Mortis, I would describe Rigor Mortis as a career garage band.
Yeah,
They had
I
a
would kind of
very
agree with that.
sloppy style. They had a very sloppy style. The production was horrible, and they didn't care. They didn't care. That's how they wanted to sound. They wanted to sound like the most trashiest metal that there was out at the time.
Grim Reaper kind of
And
did the same thing too. They like that lower quality sounded production on their albums, and you could hear it for like 3 or 4 albums. It's almost like they never stepped up to better studios. They liked
right,
what they had. They liked where the sound was at. It fit their vibe, so they kind of stayed in a pocket.
yeah, and uh, right when thrash was having its heyday is when kind of like speed metal reared its ugly head, and we always talk about that link between uh, thrash metal and death metal. And especially if you look at some of the more modern thrash bands, they really got a lot of influence from death metal and speed metal. And that missing link there between thrash and death metal was speed metal. And it came out before there was anything called death metal really hitting, or right about the same time, but it was already getting acknowledged as a genre before death metal was,
Right.
you know? And uh, you got a lot of bands like Destruction, Sodom, and creators, some creators for early albums, and just super. It's super thrashed out, super fast, and unrelenting, and it don't stop. And if you think the next song's going to be have some diversity, you're in the wrong genre because the next song's going to be just like the one you just listened to, and that's how they do it, man.
Yeah, other than a little different riff or whatever, but it's still the same
Or time
same
signature, maybe
pace.
just a
Yeah.
hair different, whatever. But yeah, dude, that's how they rip it, man.
I mean they'll tell you, it's like, how would you describe your music? It's like it's just a brutal beatdown, nonstop, 24/7 brutal beatdown. Whereas thrash
Straight
metal
fast.
is kind of like you get a chance to breathe every once in a while between your thrashes. you know?
Which, by the way, black metal, for being so anti music, it's one of the most atmospheric feeling types of metal just because it connotes this ominous feeling, like just by the nature of the music. Like they don't have to add any kind of keyboards
Right,
to that stuff. It's already got its own just attitude and atmospheric level to it that frightens most people away right away. Just and it's the production value. Like they want that raggedy, boombox stuck out in the cold sounding
right.
recording.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it gives it that eerie, suspenseful vibe to where you get that ominous feeling, kind of like something's right here, and you don't want to turn around because you know it's going to scare the fuck out of you, kind of feeling. Which is why you stay focused forward on the music, so you can just ignore this thing that's like, just look at me. I'll Medusa your ass,
right.
yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely a big difference between the two, and you know, uh, speed metal like is for me. Speed metal's harder for me to listen to than most old school death metal. Like I can listen to a lot of old school death metal, a lot of it, and none of it bothers me. I love it. I feel like comfortable when I'm listening to it. I feel relaxed. But the minute some actual real speed metal comes on, you ain't, dude. You can just feel the tension in the air and in your body. You're like, oh, I don't know if I can listen to this right now. It'll blaze you up, man. It's fast.
well, one of my personal favorite, I would call them speed metal because they definitely fit right in there. I believe they came out way before Dragon Force, and they're somewhat on that line, just not so fluffy as Dragon Force is. Let's just say fluffy. It's higher pitched and a little more epic metal sounding or whatever. But
Yeah,
Power
I feel
Mad,
like they're more power metal than they're
right?
just speedy power metal.
But Power Mad, Plastic People, that freaking song, they come in at high speeds, they stay high speeds. They do got a little bit of a roller coaster in some of their songs, but first song to the last song on the whole album is just freaking nonstop, high speed, good beats, good rhythm, good power in it. It's got great sound to it, great production as well. And that's I saw it first time in one of the old heavy metal magazines, and I actually ordered it from there, and I've had the cassette ever since then. And I've never seen it anywhere. And even once in a while I try to look it up on YouTube and I'll get Power Mad 5000. That's not it. It's not 5000. It's just Power Mad, you know. And they got
Yeah,
some great shit, and I would definitely put them in the speed metal category. And this coming back from like the mid late 80s to early 90s, you know. Good shit.
which, by the way, speed metal started the blast beat. Everybody wants to know where the blast beat come from in death metal. It came from speed metal. They were the first ones to do it because the entire structure of their music is basically a blast beat.
Right. Yeah, that's the driving force behind the whole of the song. The guitar stepped up to it, and then the vocals come in and play around in the middle of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely like the old bands like Destruction and Sadist and stuff. And, you know, I listened to that Swallowed in Black album again the other night, and it's got the vocals like this in the sky, it's all that kind of shit, right? But the freaking, it's just unrelenting. It will beat you to death, and you're just sitting in your recliner.
Pulverized.
It is crazy. And I just remember, that leaving such an impression on me, and going back and listening to it now, I'm like, yeah, that's some fast shit, man.
I can't say that Judas Priest is actually in the speed metal range, but they got some freaking songs that are pretty damn quick. But like I said, they got such a wide variety on their albums that I can't really put them into speed metal. But they can get up there if they wanted to.
Yeah, they got a couple albums after uh
You
oh,
know,
what's his name?
Ripper Owens. Once you get into Jugulator and Detonator and stuff like that, yeah,
Yeah,
you
there's some
definitely
pretty
get a
heavy
little.
voltage going on in that stuff,
You,
man. They yeah.
I mean,
But
even
it's
even Painkiller had some high speed stuff, but they still had quite a freaking roller coaster in there. You
Well,
know,
everybody always cites like the song Painkiller, but the song All Guns Blazing from that album is a freaking ripper, and it might even be faster than Painkiller.
well, Painkiller was just the album title, and it was the first official release off the album. So yeah, it was the radio played song that
I think
everybody
All
knew.
Guns
But
Blazing. I think All Guns Blazing overall rhythm structure is faster
my
than
personal favorite song on
Painkiller.
the whole album is Nightcrawler. You get
Yeah,
that real slow, eerie sound coming in, and then it's like, oh god, this fucking monster is after me, and then you're thrashing out to keep away from it, to stay alive, kind of feeling. And I don't know, I just love Nightcrawler. That was one of my personal favorites off of there. But yeah, there's some good shit on there. But like I said,
it's a great album, and I think to this day it might even have outsold all of Judas Priest's earlier records.
yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, it's
Yeah,
extremely
I think it's their
popular.
best selling record. Yeah, you can Google that, guys.
Yeah, yeah. Feel free to Google away.
But
Back
yeah,
back
there's a
to
couple other bands from that era that like one hit wonder bands and bands that tried to do it and failed. And it's kind of almost impossible to think you can keep that shit up for that long. I mean, death metal bands play some fast shit, especially modern death metal bands, these technical death metal bands, or the technical brutal death metal bands. There's so much going on in one song, it's ridiculous. But to be able to play that the way the speed metal bands do, just over and over repeatedly, that same just speed and ferociousness, like for a whole live show or a whole album, whatever. It's just, man, I don't know if I could do it, dude. I don't think I could do it.
well, let's talk about that for a minute. Because if you're holding the pick, you want your wrist nice and loose so you can get multiple strokes, right? But when you're playing
That's what she
super
said.
freaking fast and your muscles start tensing up in here and all of this is tight, it's like there's no looseness anymore and you're vibrating more than you are stroking, And
Can I say it? Can I say it? That's what she said.
she said a lot of shit.
She definitely just said that whole sentence.
Yeah.
I've heard all of those words.
It was one of them conversations, let's say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, think of it. If your whole side of your body that's playing the strumming part of the guitar is tight and tense, how many shows of that can you do before you either get into the right kind of feeling or the right kind of play direction to where your wrist doesn't get all bound up and carpal tunneled or whatever.
Well, you either learn it or you get early onset rheumatoid arthritis.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So how can they continue and continue and continue? If they're doing 3-4 shows a week or something. They got a little garage band, they got rehearsal,
Well,
they
like
got a stage show.
we used to think that about like Dave Lombardo, right? Like, how is he doing that? And then, they figured out how he was doing it, and everybody started playing like that. And then everybody had a double kick pedal or a double bass so they could double kick. And everybody started doing the bass rides and all that same stuff. And then it became like, well, it's not a big deal now because look at the death metal drummers we got now, and they'll blow Dave Lombardo's shit away. And that's the same. It's the same thing. Like practice always makes perfect, but it literally takes another like generation to see it and to top it, to make it faster, make it. And that's when you start getting bands that have staying power and they can actually play that shit.
Right.
Yeah, man.
I mean, think of
But
it. If
those beginning guys deserve all the beers.
I mean, think of it. Say Metallica, the first songs they learned to play before they even got a band together and stuff, right? It wasn't really high speed thrashy or power metal of back in the day. They came out with this really kick ass freaking form of heavy metal. And then somebody like you comes along and learns to play I Am Evil, right? As one of your first songs. You're picking up after all of their growth. You're starting right there. You didn't start slow and work your way up to speed. You started right there at Am I Evil? Yes, I am, and then you've
Yeah.
progressed up. So at this point, if say you had an album out there and somebody picked up your song, they're starting right there at their age and they're gonna go faster. So yeah, it's only natural that evolution or progression takes place. If the first time I ever sat at a drum set was a double bass, and I started playing double bass drum and blast beats and shit like that because that's what I heard, I'd think nothing of it. It's what I know, it's what I learned, it's what I went with. But if I started with like jazz drums, single bass, the snares and shit, and these slow little freaking rhythms, I'd probably mentally struggle to pull off a double bass rhythm because I'm used to the hi hat over here, So yeah, it's you could just see a natural progression, whether we like it or not, from when somebody comes into the music scene and starts playing and to where they progress, and then the next person comes in at that point, and then where that generation goes off to. So yeah, it definitely, I mean, like Ingve Malmsteen, right? Guitar work. He was just a normal guitar player, just like anybody else, but because of his recording system, it made him play faster and faster and faster and faster. And then people started looking at him like, how the hell does he play so fast? Unintentionally, he became fast, is what happened. you know?
Yeah, and that's just the progression, man, the exponential growth. It stacks upon itself like that. And, that's how you get people that are better and faster and bigger and stronger. And it's just the way it goes. It's how evolution works. And it's across the board with everything. You could look at auto manufacturers, you could look at computers, you can look at anything and you can see exactly what you said. The next design of whatever's coming out is always predicated and built upon off of the technology that's already progressed to that point,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So it's always trying to build on it, make it better and stronger. And it's the same way with music. You hear all those bands, you hear like a speed metal band like Sadus or whatever when you're growing up, and you want to try to see one day if you could play that fast, and then maybe you realize that you could play pretty quick, and you get a band and you start doing it. But like you said, they started with that genre basically. Really, you can't really say for nothing. You could say cite early bands like you know Possessed, Seven Churches, and like uh what's the other band with all the pentagrams and shit from back in the day? Uh, anyway, they were listening to that kind of stuff, you
Right.
know, and it was already kind of pushing the boundary between thrash and what was going to be the next thing, but they weren't quite super fast. In fact, a lot of death metal people will cite Possessed Seven Churches as being the first true death metal album, but it's not. And if you ask any death metal historian, they're going to tell you the same thing. Trust me, I've watched the documentaries. I know. I've spent time watching, but uh, you know, for those for those for the speed metal bands, that's what they were into, right? And they're like, oh, let's make it faster than even those guys are pushing it, right? And so that's how they started, and then this band's building on them and taking from their stuff. But yeah, you got to give it up to those early guys. Like I said, those early guys deserve all the beers, man. They started it and they made it as fast as it is, and it's hard for anybody to really top it.
Well, the age old saying is respect your elders.
Yeah,
We came from there. You know? We wouldn't be here without them having been there. So,
yeah.
you know,
So yeah, it's definitely something you want to check out. If you want to go check out some speed metal, we got a playlist on our channel, and we'll be adding more bands to that.
yeah, as we come across them and happen to remember to hit the save thing to our little playlist, because there's a few times I'll be jamming out to it. Next thing you know, song's over, and I'll go on to oh fuck, I forgot to put that in the freaking playlist. You know?
Oh yeah, I was supposed to be doing channel research.
Yeah, damn it, it was so good. I got carried away, and then the next song was like even better.
That's what makes it good. That's how you know you're doing something right. Whenever your hobby is that fun, and it don't feel like you're doing work for it. You know.
When the music takes you away and you get lost in it and forget what you're doing, it's a good song.
Yeah.
That's just all there is to it, you know. So, I mean, think of it. You know, we all want Calgon to take us away, right? For us metalheads, music. Yeah, I mean, even other genres, music is our escape. You know, it either brings us back to a comfy place or forces us into a new uncomfortable spot, which is growth or whichever the case may be. But when it captivates you, roll with it. You know, that's
Or it might just be you're hearing speed metal for the first time and you're freaked the hell out.
well, that's what I mean. It might take you to an uncomfortable place, which is growth,
Yeah.
you know, because complacency just means you're staying with the same old shit, you know. And I believe it was probably about 11, maybe 12 years ago, I was talking with somebody about their musical taste. And these are those people that are stuck with the classic rock radio, right? So where you hear the Eagles and the Bee Gees and all, they just fucking run of the mill, the
Boston.
Doors, you know, LA. What it's just they won't look for or listen to anything new. You know what I mean? Unless the radio happens to play a new song that came out, like a new Def Leppard or maybe a Metallica, or but that's not going to happen on classic rock radio. You know, I mean,
Right.
you probably ain't even going to hear a new ACDC song on a classic rock radio, right? I mean, chances are going to be rare. But anyway, I was talking with these people, you know, some of my friends over the time, and they are stuck in that rut. And I told them, I said, I turned off the classic rock radio on purpose because I knew I was in a rut. I didn't want to hear anything else, but there was a part of me I was denying that wanted to know what the modern music was like. You know, what happened to this band after 20 fucking years that, you know, they were in the classic rock, but where are they at today? You know, like in ACDC, what happened to them? Fuck, they're out there rocking their asses off, man. They got new
Well,
albums. And
honestly, I love Led Zeppelin. I grew up listening to Led Zeppelin, but I can't listen. If I hear Black Dog one more time, I'm gonna shoot the damn radio.
well, see,
Like I'm,
that's part of it.
there's
You know,
certain songs that just
the overplayed.
yeah,
But
they just
those that are stuck in that rut never acknowledge how overplayed it is, right?
right.
They go out to a carnival or something, and they got a stage show out there with a local band playing cover tracks. They're having a great time, and that's all understandable. It's kind of danceable music. But for somebody like you and me, that don't it's a boring show. You
Yeah, that's not
know?
gonna cut it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not gonna.
not enough. Yeah, yeah, it's live, it's loud. There's women. I mean, I'm a guy. Come on now, there's women there, but you know, so I mean, it could be fun, but it's not our cup of tea. We'd rather go to a dive bar and see a $500 band mosh out some shit we've never heard before. You know, I there's a town probably about 45 miles away from here called Spooner, and there used to be this little bar, and I believe they called it Shane something or another. But he brought in three bands, heavy metal, to play in the backyard, and he called it Shane Stock. I don't remember what the name of the bar was. It was Shane something, but the Shane Stock. They had Trivium, Leth- Lethargy, Lethargic, something or another. They had a third band that I was already half passed out by then or blacked out. I don't remember the rest of the show, but I remember seeing Trivium. Really cool shit, man. Really fast, really hard, really neat shit for a backyard open air concert in a town. you know, and this is just a small band, small area. And this was before they even got their first cover album or anything. And dude, if you look up Trivium today, I think they got 3 or 4 albums out now. Really good shit. A lot of intricate stuff. It's definitely more into
Yeah.
the speed hard metal stuff. I don't know that they'd quite go into death metal, maybe, but I
Now
doubt it.
it's like a mix of it's like metalcore, pretty much
I mean, it's
metalcore.
point blank is it's good, and it wasn't no fucking let's get somebody doing cover bands of freaking Led Zeppelin and the Doors. Yeah, no, that's not. you know,
Yeah, back in the late '90s, we had a place here called the Iron Bell, and it was an old uh, metal works warehouse where they
nice.
just had like metal, iron, and
An old
sheet metal
foundry.
stuff.
Yep.
No, it was just a warehouse where they would stock it so they could pull orders,
Okay, gotcha,
and
gotcha.
company just sold steel. That's all they did, and it went defunct, and the owner of the building decided to turn it into a live concert hall, and used to see all kinds of cool bands out there, man. Nobody like big name stuff, but it was all local bands that were heavy AF, and I used to love going out there, man. It was $5 to get in on any given day, and man, the local radio channel would actually promote it, and we're talking about small time
Right, right.
local bands. This was nothing like they weren't bringing in heavy hitters for the headliner or none of that kind of stuff.
See, those are the $500 bands that I'm talking about, right? You get 4 or 5 people
They're
that say,
local,
"Give us
man,
$500, they'll play for 2 hours." That kind of
and
a band.
the way they did it too, it was BYOB, so the guy didn't have to worry about having a liquor license and
Right.
just BYOB and all that. He wasn't selling liquor, and they sold buckets of ice, so you could get some ice for your drinks or whatever, and that was it. Like I think they sold sodas and shit, but the bar itself didn't make money on alcohol or nothing. Like whoever was bringing the bands in was paying those bands. It wasn't nothing like even playing for a bar tab or nothing.
Well,
So
if it's say a $500 band, you get $5 a head, and you get more than 100 people in there, you're breaking even, but you're having
yep,
a hell of a good time.
and they
Which to
always
me,
packed it up.
is I would much rather spend $5 for a 2 hour show of two different bands with like a half hour intermission or something, 45-minute sets or whatever. $5 for the night to go have a freaking blast compared to going to like a casino with $20 and walking out of there with nothing.
Yeah.
You know,
And the owner of that building was a super cool guy. The building was so big that the stage was set up like 2/3 of the way to the back. So there was still a pretty large area behind the stage. And he set up a bunch of like just poles, stuff with curtains and stuff, and made like a private area for the
right,
bands to hang
right,
out in back there. Because he was always bringing in 3 acts at a time. Like every concert was 3 bands.
right.
And uh, he was just a cool guy, dude, to do all that stuff and bring that music there. It was greatly appreciated. And once the word got out, every show was packed every time. And it was fun for me, man. I liked it. some of the bands weren't as thrashy or as fast as I like, but most of them were.
Right.
You know, and we're talking late '90s, early 2000s when all that was going on. So it was a time when music had a lot of variance in it.
Well,
Especially metal.
this brings up a good topic of local bar bands or dive bar bands or local shows, right? If any of you out there watching this happen to know of bands in your local area that you feel could go somewhere because they're playing original songs, not doing this cover track bullshit, unless it's like a Metallica tribute band or a Kiss tribute band or a metal tribute band, because there's plenty of that out there. Let us know in the comments below what band to look for so we can find them. You know, not
Because
like
we'll
our
hunt them.
channel is going to do them any favor, but if they're just trying to get up and running and need to get the word out, we may contact them and play a little bit of their shit on our channel, and not necessarily say promote them or anything of that nature, but just do our part to keep metal alive and keep the music flowing and give the guys a chance, man. Because we all know that the underground metal scene is not going mainstream. It's not radio music. It's not TV music. It's freaking, you have a hard enough time finding it yourself, right? So if you happen to have known of a band that we can share with others who may have never known about it, maybe they actually get a better chance to become the next fucking Metallica. You know, might be a generation or so away, but hey. And we don't want any of the credit for saying, "Hey, we gave them a jump start." No, we're not like that in any way, shape, form, or another. We want to be able to share music with you people. If you're going to
And
come to
you
our
said it.
channel to
You
find out
said
about
it.
music, we want something we can give you.
And you said it. We just want to keep metal alive, and that's the whole point. We want metal to stay alive, and we love it. And everybody's got to do their part to keep it alive. If you're out there buying music, great. If you're out there, sharing bands, great. If you're going to shows, that's great. Even if you're just sitting in your room jamming it, that's great too, man. That means the heart's still pumping, and that's what we like. We
Yeah,
like to see that. We like to hear from you guys. So let us know, man. Give us some metal experiences. Tell us about a crazy show you went to one time. Who's your favorite metal band? What band first got you into metal? Hit us up in the comments. Let us know.
yeah, and don't be afraid to say, "Hey, man, you guys forgot to mention this band when you were talking about that." We get a few
Definitely.
million of them in our head already. It doesn't mean they're not up at the top of the list. It just means they weren't on the tip of our tongue when we mentioned them. you know. So,
Definitely.
but don't be afraid to do that in the comments too, man. We might have freaking overlooked somebody freaking badass like Helmet, you know, unsung. I mean, they don't look like thrash metal people, but that song pretty fucking rocked, man. That whole album kind of rocked. But then what happened to them? Did they
Yeah.
finish going to college? Because they did. They look like college pretty boys. But you
Like
know,
I said, guys, go check out the speed metal list. Check out the bands. Let us know if you like speed metal, if you like thrash, which one you like better, who's your favorite band. With that being said, I think that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Keep metal alive and keep rocking out there.
and we do not have a Pickles update for you at this moment. He has somehow skipped our radar.
Yeah, we got to track him down next week.
He's a fucking sly little cat. So if you happen to hear of something from Pickles, let us know. So till next time, y'all, mosh on, and we will see you next time.
Metal!
Metal.